Good evening friends, you are most welcome to Think Eyes channel. Today we are going to discuss Practicing Anthropology by MAAN IGNOU, MAANI 003, in which we are going to discuss Block 5, Advanced Areas in Practicing Anthropology. In Unit 1 we will discuss Forensic Anthropology. In Unit 2 we will discuss Human Genetics and Society. In Unit 3 we will discuss Application of Genetic Polymorphism. Block 5, Advanced Areas in Practicing Anthropology. Let us begin the introduction part. The major objective of physical anthropology is to study variation in mankind. In order to understand these variation, we need to have a background in human genetics so as to observe the changes that occur in the makeup of man from time to time. The role of human genetics is quite relatable to human society, and this is possible with the help of various polymorphisms that exist. Forensic anthropology is another subdiscipline of anthropology that is exceptionally functional, as it not only incorporates examination and analysis of skeletal remains recovered from crime scenes, recent burials, and the prehistoric sites in different parts of the world. Forensic anthropology is that branch of the physical anthropology which, for forensic purpose, deals with more or less skeletonized remains known to be or suspected of being human and attempts to answer the following questions regarding origin, age, sex, ethnicity, and stature of the individual concerned. During examination of a forensic anthropologist, during examination a forensic anthropologist applies his knowledge of human osteology to bring out the facts relating to the origin and number of individuals involved beside determining age from the dentation, closure of cranial suture, and ossification of long bones epiphyses with the diaphyses, and finally using the skull superimposition or videographic techniques to render face to the skull for complete identification. The second unit of the module highlights the role of genetics to the society, the detection of various inherited disease and problems concerning undernutrition and malnutrition. What type of intervention program should be considered and introduced after the detection of the anomaly? This type of interventions can help in improving the living standard of the members of the society. It is important to cause awareness about the available genetic counseling for taking care of different diseases as well as compatibility or non-compatibility of the bold groups during transfusion at the time of treatment of various diseases to have a healthy disease-free society. Augmentation in the applicability of human genetics to human welfare has fashioned a range of possibilities in plummeting the disease and improving the health status as well as looking into the budding problems like ethical, moral, and practical. It is apparent that numerous polymorphic traits are genetic in nature and are inherited in a simple Mendelian fashion. For example, blood group system, serum proteins, hemoglobin variants, etc. With the advent of new and advanced techniques, more and more polymorphic traits have been identified and are being used for the welfare of the humankind. Besides considering different types of polymorphism, the use of DNA technology is quite relevant for the establishing the ancestry as well as solving the problems related to dispute parentage and providing genetic counseling to the concerned members of the society so that they could get rid of the problem that they are facing. These branches of physical anthropology are such that their application in different fields are quite in demand. This definitely include betterment of human society in diverse aspects which are explored in the three lessons inside this block. Unit 1, Forensic Anthropology. Contents are introduction part, scope, in which we will discuss Indian scenario, visit to the scenes of occurrence, whether the bones are human or non-human, whether they belong to one or more than one individual, What is the probable sex of the individual? Identification of the bones. Racial affiliation of the person from the remains. What is the probable age of the individual? What would be the approximate height of the individual? What are the other characteristics features that can lead to his or her identification? In case of biometrics, we will discuss fingerprints biometrics, iris patterns biometrics, retinal pattern biometrics, facial recognition biometrics, DNA biometrics, handwriting and voice biometrics. In case of dermatoglyphics, we will discuss various types of fingerprint pattern, scenes of crime fingerprints, development of latent fingerprints. At the last, we will discuss examination of the body fluids and tissues, and overall, we will discuss summary. Learning objectives are: after going through the unit, you will be able to understand the significance of skeletal remains in personal identification, understand the term biometrics use of various human characteristics in personal identification with the help of computer technology, know about one of the most important features used in personal identification called dermatoglyphics, popularly known as fingerprints, learn about body fluids and their use as evidence, and understand how forensic anthropology can be practiced by trained anthropologists in diverse fields. Introduction part: forensic anthropology may be defined as that branch of physical anthropology which, for forensic purposes, deals with the identification of more or less skeletonized remains known to be or suspected of being human. The identification process provides opinion on the age, sex, ethnic group, stature and other characteristics of the individual who is excavated, which may lead to his or her recognition. In case of death, generally scenario is having a skeletal or a skeleton in full or just remains. From these examples, one can classify the issue of identity into three classes. First, criminal cases where unidentified body or skeleton or skeletal remain, etc. is found. Second, cases of identification of dead in mass disaster, man-made or natural, to settle their religious, inheritance, compensation, insurance issues. And the third is where mass graves are discovered in war or genocide cases. Scope: whether living or dead, the ultimate goal of examination is personal identification, as identification is a must requirement for a person. A person may be identified through many traits of permanent or transitory nature like physical appearance, gait, facial features, scar marks, scar marks, tattoo marks, moles, birthmarks, occupational marks, congenital abnormalities, somatometric, osteometric, and craniometric dimensions. In this unit, we may restrict ourselves to the use of the knowledge of physical anthropology to identify the skeletal remains, as all the aforementioned features may lead to a positive identification. Well, whenever skeletal remains are found, the forensic anthropologist, on examining them, try to answer the following key questions. First, whether the bones are human or non-human. Second, whether they belong to one or more than one individual. Third, what would be the probable sex or gender. Fourth, what is the probable age of the individual. Fifth, what is the ethnic group or race of the individual. Sixth, what would be the approximate height of the individual. And the last, seventh, what are the other characteristic features that can lead to his or her identification. Indian scenario: in India, forensic anthropology related case work was undertaken by forensic pathologists till a few decades back, and there was no provision to recruit forensic anthropologists in forensic science laboratories. but now all forensic laboratories have a forensic anthropology unit under biology division where examination of skeletal material is performed. In developed countries like USA, unlike India, forensic science laboratories have forensic anthropologists to tackle the case related with skeletal remains, and many universities run courses related to it. There are organizations like American Board of Forensic Anthropologists (ABFA) which look after the overall performance of all its members and update the subject with new findings. It regulates the conduct of its entire members. Thank you very much.